The early autumn wind swept plane tree leaves across the street corner. Fiona stood beneath the apartment building, her fingertips clutching the cold car keys, knuckles white. It was a silver gray car, its body covered in fine scratches, the front bumper slightly dented, like an old relic worn down by time. When Howard Carter slipped the keys into her palm, his fingertips still smelled of freshly smoked cigarettes, his tone casual. Here, for getting around, I saved 3 months' salary to buy it pretty decent, right? Fiona Lincoln looked down at the cheap plastic bear hanging from the keys, the same style as her favorite doll back in college, but at this moment, the faded little bear felt like a thorn, piercing painfully at her heart. Today was their 9th anniversary, the day she once believed was worth celebrating. 3 months' salary. She asked softly, her voice roughened by the wind. Last week you said you wanted to give a gift to the business partner, and you casually swiped your card to buy a watch. That seemed like more than 3 months' salary, didn't it? Howard frowned, impatiently brushing off his suit sleeve. What do you know? That's business entertainment. What's wrong with this car? It's better than you squeezing into the subway. He paused, then sneered. Besides, a good car isn't meant for people like you to drive. No sooner had the words left her mouth than the roar of an engine came from around the corner. A bright red Ferrari sports car streaked by like a flash of lightning and stopped at the entrance of a nearby cafe. The window rolled down, revealing Lily Clark's exquisitely made-up face. She held a slender lady's cigarette between her fingers and threw Howard Carter a flirtatious glance. Howard, didn't you say you'd take me for a drive? Howard's eyes softened instantly. He hurried over and bent down to open the car door for Lily. His movements so intimate, it was as if they had been rehearsed 1,000 times. Fiona Lincoln watched as he took a velvet box from the passenger seat. Inside lay a diamond necklace, sparkling so brightly in the sunlight it made her squint. It's the latest model, just perfect with your red dress. Howard Carter's voice was so tender it seemed to drip with warmth, a stark contrast to the coldness he'd shown her moments before. Fiona clenched the car keys tightly in her hand, the metal edges digging painfully into her palm. She walked step by step toward the Ferrari, standing beside it as her shadow fractured into shards across the car's reflective surface. Howard, she said, locking eyes with him, today is our anniversary. Howard seemed to have just remembered this, casually saying, oh, it's no big deal, I'll make it up to you with a gift later. He turned sideways, wrapping his arm around Lily Clark's waist, deliberately raising his voice. Lily just shot a magazine cover. This car is her celebration gift. He didn't finish, but that flippant tone was like needles, relentlessly piercing Fiona Lincoln's ears. Lily covered her mouth to laugh, her eyes flicking toward Fiona with undisguised pride. Miss Fiona, you're still here. Howard said you're very sensible. And he wasn't wrong, sensible? Fiona suddenly laughed, tears welling in her eyes. So being mature means accepting your discarded old car while you give your new lover a sports car? Howard's face darkened, and he suddenly shoved Fiona toward Lily. Have you caused enough trouble? He pointed at the car, his tone sharp. It's already generous to give you a car. Don't be ungrateful. You think this car is a waste, afraid it'll fall apart if you drive fast. Unlike Lily, driving a sports car is truly fitting. Lily nestled in Howard's arms, her fingertips tracing Fiona's arm like a cold snake. Miss Lincoln, love can't be forced. Howard loves me now, so stop clinging on. She paused, deliberately shaking the luxury watch on her wrist. Tonight, Howard is taking me to race on the mountain road. If you're free, why not go clean my car tires? Maybe if he's in a good mood, he might even reward you with something. Her stomach churned violently. Fiona Lincoln looked at the couple before her and suddenly felt the past 9 years had been nothing but an absurd dream. She threw the car keys onto the ground. The sharp clatter startled the sparrows perched on the treetops. Howard Carter, she said slowly and deliberately. We're breaking up. Howard was momentarily stunned, then sneered. Fine, if you want to break up, so be it. Who cares? You think I can't find someone better without you? He wrapped his arm around Lily Clark and turned to leave. The sports car's engine roared again, and the exhaust fumes blew right into Fiona's face. She stood there, watching that flash of red disappear around the corner. Suddenly, she crouched down and covered her face, crying. It wasn't because she couldn't let go, but because she felt wronged for wasting 9 years, wronged for believing that was what love was. The autumn wind stirred the fallen leaves at her feet, swirling them around. The old car sat quietly by the roadside, like an abandoned joke. The days after the breakup felt like an endless rainy season. Fiona Lincoln moved out of the apartment filled with memories. rented a small studio, worked overtime at the design company during the day, and curled up on the sofa at night, staring blankly at a blank canvas. It took her a whole year to slowly shed the shadow of Howard Carter. On the day she threw away all her old belongings, she stood by the trash bin for a long time, watching the elderly scrap collector toss the keychain with a little plastic bear into a sack, suddenly feeling as if a blocked corner of her heart had finally cleared. The turning point came in the spring of the following year. The company took on a resort project, and the partner representative was Stuart Gabriel. The first time they met, he wore a light gray suit, the cuffs stained with watercolor paint, and the business card he handed her read landscape designer. "Miss Lincoln's design is truly food," he said slowly, his gaze gentle. "Especially the entrance water feature, the way you play with light and shadow is brilliant." Fiona Lincoln was momentarily stunned. For the past 9 years, Howard Carter never looked at her drawings, always saying it was a waste of time. During the 6 months of project coordination, they visited the site together and discussed plans late into the night in a conference room piled high with blueprints. Stuart Gabriel remembered that she didn't like cilantro, quietly handed her warm water when her stomach ached, and listened carefully to her thoughts about colors and lines. "You don't always have to take care of other people's feelings," Stuart said one night after working late, watching her pack up the uneaten dessert. "Your feelings matter too." Fiona Lincoln's eyes suddenly filled with tears. She was used to standing on tiptoe to reach into Howard Carter's world, forgetting that she too deserved to be seen eye to eye. On the day the project ended, Stuart confessed his feelings to her by the lakeside. He held no roses, only a freshly picked ginkgo leaf, its veins as clear as his intentions. "I know you've been hurt before, but I want to try to see if I can make you believe in love again." Fiona Lincoln looked into the sincerity in his eyes, hesitated for a long moment, then gently nodded. Their love was neither passionate nor tumultuous, but like a gentle spring rain, silently soaking into their lives. Stuart Gabriel would take her to art galleries, stay with her in the studio until late at night, and when she occasionally cried thinking of Howard Carter, he would quietly hand her a tissue and say, "It's all in the past now." On their wedding day, Fiona Lincoln wore a simple white dress, and Stuart Gabriel slipped a plain band onto her ring finger. "No diamond ring," he said sheepishly, "but I promise to give you a lifetime of love." Fiona smiled and threw herself into his arms. She finally understood that true love isn't about standing on tiptoe to look up at someone, but about walking side by side, sharing the same view. In the 3rd year of their marriage, Joy was born. When the nurse handed her that wrinkled little baby, Fiona suddenly remembered the afternoon 9 years ago when she threw away the keys, realizing that every loss was meant for a better encounter. On Joy's 2nd birthday, Stuart Gabriel reserved the entire top floor of the parent-child restaurant. Sunshine poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting dappled patterns across the floor. Joy wore a pale yellow dress and lay in the baby walker, her little legs kicking as she tried to climb out. Her bell-like laughter mingled with the other children's noise, scattering like candy beads in the air. Fiona Lincoln sat on a nearby bench, holding a freshly steamed pumpkin puree, her gaze following her daughter's figure, a gentle smile curving her lips. Stuart Gabriel said early this morning that he wanted to prepare a surprise for Joy. "He's probably busy setting everything up right now, Mom." Joy finally crawled out of the baby walker, wobbling as she ran to Fiona Lincoln, looking up with her little face, wanting a hug. Fiona pulled her daughter into her arms and wiped the sweat from her temple. "Once Dad finishes, well, go blow out the candles, okay?" "Okay." Joy nodded vigorously, pointing her little finger at the dessert table nearby. "Strawberries." "No problem. Today, Joy is the star of the day." Fiona Lincoln gently scratched her daughter's tiny nose, about to get up and take her to wash her hands, when a harsh voice suddenly rang in her ear. "Fiona Lincoln?" Fiona's body stiffened. She would never forget that voice for as long as she lived. She slowly turned around and saw Howard Carter standing a few steps away, wearing an ostentatious crocodile leather jacket, accompanied by a little boy dressed in designer children's clothes, whose features faintly resembled his. After 4 years apart, Howard seemed to have gained some weight, his face a little greasy, but his eyes still held the same arrogance as before. He sized Fiona up and down, his gaze pausing on the plain cotton linen dress she wore. A mocking smile tugged at his lips. "Hiding it pretty well, huh? Not long after breaking up and already married with a kid?" Fiona instinctively pulled Joy a little behind her, her voice cold. "Mr. Carter, you have the wrong person." Wrong person? Howard Carter sneered, stepped forward, and pointed at Joy. What's this kid's name? She looks pretty smart. Suddenly, he pushed the little boy beside him forward. This is my son Tim, half a year older than her. Let her play with him for a while, so he won't bother me. Tim was shoved and stumbled, pouting unhappily. Dad, I don't want to play with her. Her clothes don't look nice. Howard Carter didn't scold him. Instead, he proudly patted his son's head. That's right. Look at how you've raised her. Dressed like cheap street market goods, nothing like the Fiona Lincoln I know. Joy was so scared she crawled into Fiona's arms, clutching her clothes tightly with her small hand, timidly saying, Mom, I'm scared. Fiona's heart felt like it had been pricked by a needle. She held her daughter even tighter and looked coldly at Howard Carter. Please show some respect. She's my daughter, and it's none of your business. It has nothing to do with me. Howard Carter sounded as if he had just heard the biggest joke in the world. Fiona Lincoln, stop pretending. Back then, you were crazy in love with me. Maybe you found someone new right after we broke up. He puffed out his chest, his voice growing even more arrogant. Did you hear that, Fiona? I'm not the poor student I used to be. Carter Automotive is now quite well known in River City. Be with me, and at least you and the child can live a decent life. He reached out, trying to touch Joy's head, but Fiona pulled her away sharply. Mr. Carter, please show some respect. Fiona's voice was as cold as ice. I'll say it again, you've got the wrong person. The parents nearby were drawn by the commotion, turning their heads one after another. A man in a suit pushed up his glasses and whispered to the woman beside him, Isn't that Howard Carter? The one who owns the luxury car dealership. I heard his net worth is in the tens of millions, really. So this woman actually dared to dump him? She must be regretting it now, right? The murmurs surged like a tide, and Howard listened with growing pride. At that moment, Lily Clark walked over, dressed in a bright pink suit, carrying a diamond-studded bag on her shoulder. With every step, the diamonds on her earrings sparkled dazzlingly in the sunlight. She affectionately linked her arm with Howard's, deliberately brushing against him, and coquettishly asked, Howard, what's wrong? Who upset our financial backer? When she saw Fiona, Lily's eyes brightened for a moment before she put on a fake, insincere smile. Oh my, isn't this Fiona? It's been years, how come you seem to be going backwards? She sized Joy up from head to toe, as if looking at a worthless old thing. Howard, look how skinny she's raised the child, like a little refugee. The words financial backer only made the whispers around them grow louder. Lily Clark deliberately pushed out her chest, revealing the thick gold necklace around her neck. Unlike me, I truly love Howard and don't care about these material things. Fiona Lincoln looked at Lily's flashy display of wealth and found it ridiculous. She held Joy's hand gently and whispered, Joy, let's go find Dad. Stop right there. Howard grabbed her wrist with a grip so strong it felt like he might crush her bones. Fiona, be clear. Have you already lined up someone else? Fiona Lincoln frowned in pain, struggling fiercely to break free. Howard Carter, let go. You're hurting me. So what if I hurt you? Howard Carter's eyes reddened. Back then, easily broke up with me. Now that I've found you, you want to leave just like that? No way. At that moment, a calm male voice came from behind the crowd. Let go of my wife. Stuart Gabriel's voice was low but carried an undeniable authority. Like a stone thrown into a noisy lake, instantly silencing the surroundings. The crowd instinctively parted, making way as Stuart Gabriel strode over quickly. He wore a light gray cashmere sweater, sleeves rolled up to reveal smooth-toned forearms. Perched on his nose was a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, behind which his gaze was gentle yet sharp. Seeing Fiona Lincoln's reddened wrist, his brows instantly furrowed. He stepped forward, shielding her and Joy behind him, his eyes coldly fixed on Howard Carter. Who are you? Howard Carter was momentarily intimidated by Stuart Gabriel's presence, but he quickly straightened his neck and said, I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend. What's it to you? Ex-girlfriend? Stuart Gabriel raised an eyebrow and slipped his arm around Fiona Lincoln's shoulder, his voice calm but resolute. Fiona Lincoln is my wife. We're married? Howard Carter sounded as if H just heard a fairy tale. Impossible. Stuart Gabriel pulled his phone from his pocket and opened a photo. This is our wedding picture. In the photo, Fiona Lincoln wore a pristine white wedding gown, leaning close to Stuart Gabriel, her smile radiant and eyes curved with joy. Howard Carter stared at the photo for a long moment, as if all his strength had been drained, then staggered back a step. Fiona looked at him, her eyes devoid of hatred, only acceptance. You gave me an old car, but bought a Ferrari for Lily. You made me clean her tires and said I was dull and unwo. Stuart Gabriel's gaze turned cold. Mr. Carter, watch your words. Joy is my daughter. And that's beyond question. If you keep harassing us, I won't hesitate to have my lawyer have a word with you, lawyer. Howard Carter seemed provoked, suddenly raising his voice. Who are you trying to scare? Carter Automotive isn't someone to mess with. Fiona, I have to prove myself today. He turned to Joy, forcing a gentle tone. Joy, come with me for a checkup, and I will buy you the biggest strawberry cake, okay? Joy was so frightened she hid behind Stuart Gabriel, her small voice trembling with tears. I don't want cake. I want daddy. Look, she's already calling you daddy. Howard Carter pointed at Stuart Gabriel and shouted to those around. She must have been spoiled by you all. Stuart Gabriel picked up Joy and said to Fiona, Fiona, let's go upstairs. Don't let strangers ruin Joy's birthday. Stop right there. Howard Carter suddenly rushed forward, trying to grab Fiona's arm, but Stuart Gabriel pushed him away. Howard, Stuart Gabriel's voice was as cold as ice. This is your last warning. Stay away from my wife and daughter. He held Joy in his arms, wrapped his other arm around Fiona Lincoln, and turned to leave. Howard stared at their retreating backs, then suddenly screamed like a madman, Fiona, you'll regret this. I'll prove it. Fiona didn't stop walking. She just gently squeezed Stuart's hand. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, bathing them in warmth and brightness, as if it could chase away every shadow.